Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we got some interesting information here. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the Cointelegraph is reporting that the SEC delays staking for the Grayscale spot ETF. Now, what's interesting about this is that BlackRock has not filed for their amendment yet to convert their existing spot Ethereum ETF into a staking ETF. Why that's the case, who knows? It could be any number of reasons. It looks like the final decision, though, is expected by June 1st, according to Cointelegraph. So something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Now, once this ETF is approved, because I do expect that it's going to be approved, Robbie Mitchnick from BlackRock has been talking about how big of a deal it'll be and how it'll be very appealing to investors. But what's really interesting is that you have this store of value asset that's backed by the digital economy that is on top of Ethereum. It's going to be offering a yield to investors. So you have this high growth asset that's offering yield. But what's also interesting is that options on these spot ETFs just got approved. Now, what's interesting about that is it allows people to hedge their positions with options, but it also allows them to make an even higher yield, so they can sell covered calls to make even more money. So you have the high growth of the asset plus staking rewards of 3% or whatever it's going to be. And then you have whatever you can make on selling covered calls. So this opens up a whole lot of doors for institutional investors to start making pretty decent income from holding these Ethereum spot ETFs. Now, whenever this news broke, we did see Ethereum pull back a bit. To me, it's not all that unexpected. I'm not expecting that these other staked ETFs will be approved before the BlackRock one comes out. They're kind of one of the big dogs in the market. So not all that surprising that we're seeing a little bit of a pullback here. But what I really want to show y'all is something that I saw on the weekly time frame that is really, really interesting to me. So let's go ahead and zoom out here. Now, I want to look back to the 2019 period on TradingView, and if we look at this indicator, this is the your Elliott Wave bull trading indicator. If you want to take a look at it, there it is. But essentially what this does is it's showing you the magnitude, the impact of, you think of like a price action, like kind of like on a Richter scale. It's, is this a 7.5 earthquake type of thing? It's showing you the magnitude of these moves. And so what you're seeing here is you're seeing the bottom in 2018 where you see this massive sell-off. And then the next crash, the 2020 crash, it didn't have as much magnitude as the prior one. And we're seeing something play out very similar right now. So we bottomed back here. I believe this was the FTX. Maybe it was I believe that was the FTX crash back in June of 2022. And so we saw that same massive magnitude sell-off. And then the sell-off we're having right now, it's just not the same. So it's an interesting fractal pattern that's repeated from the prior bear market to where we are now. It's just that it's stretched out a bit more. So maybe you want to take a look there to see kind of what I'm saying, how it's stretched out more because we've been in this tightening liquidity cycle. Now, what's also interesting is that if you look at the RSI on the weekly time frame has only touched this level 3 times. So it touched it in December of 2018, and then you come forward a bit and it touched it again in June of 2022, and now we're at this level again. And each of these times has pretty much marked a reversal in the market. So, for example, going back to June 2022, we almost retested the all-time highs once the RSI had bottomed out there. We're also doing this at a very strong support. So we just come in here and we just kind of, we wick off of there. You can see that's real strong support, how prices came down and tested it multiple times. And so we're also lining up with this channel parallel, and we're bottoming on the RSI. We're seeing less of a magnitude in the downward pressure. Yes, this has been a really bad sell-off, but the magnitude really isn't there. So this is a really, really, really strong point to see a reversal. And if this is a fractal from a prior bull run, then I would expect that we're going to get a move like this V-shaped type recovery, especially with staked Ether ETFs finally getting approved, and a lot of demand for stable coins coming up. We could see something kind of just moseying on up there into the, this would be December 2026, January 2027, February timeframe, up there around $30,000. And so we'll just kind of, work our way up there, stair step our way off. So moving on to some interesting Fidelity news with Ethereum. So apparently Fidelity had been sending this email out to people trying to hire talent. It says that they're hiring a director of software engineers, DeFi yield full-time, 50% hybrid, Jersey City or Boston. So interesting. And if you come down here, it says that they want you to have familiarity with blockchains such as Ethereum. And other blockchains are preferred. It goes on to say that familiarity with protocols such as Aave and Uniswap is a plus. And that's interesting because, those are Ethereum-based protocols. So very interesting. People keep saying that institutions aren't going to choose Ethereum, but we keep seeing evidence to the contrary, such as this little email here that they're hiring people for Ethereum. There's rumors swirling that they're building their entire system around the Ethereum blockchain. So this is very interesting to me. Just these little nuggets of evidence that start coming out. It leans much more strongly that Ethereum is the chosen one, so to speak. So Watcher.guru, they're reporting that President Trump says the European Union has come forward to negotiate a new trade deal. So that's optimistic. That's good. We want to get all these trade deals out of the way so we can kind of move forward in the market. And then, of course, the Jay Powell of Bitcoin with his money printer, Michael Saylor himself, MicroStrategies has acquired 3,500 Bitcoin for $285 million at $82,600. So yeah, money printer go burr for the Bitcoiners. Moving on. So we got some interesting news here that the AI super computer manufacturer, they are going to be building a $500 billion AI infrastructure in the United States. And this is really interesting, and I'm not surprised by this. I think that this is a move despite the whole tariff situation. And I think what this comes from is because, in my opinion, AI is a technology that is on par with the nuclear bomb, essentially, as far as how it could be potentially weaponized for malicious purposes. So, you wouldn't export that level of weapon manufacturing overseas somewhere. You want to keep that within your country so that you can keep a very close eye on it. And I suspect that's what a lot of this has to do with this big push to keep it here. Because, you got to think, like, if you start having these AI agents that can go in and an AI actually goes out and does a cyber attack on another country, it's just strategically, this makes a lot more sense to have a lot of it built here in the United States. So I think that pretty much wraps up this video. We just got to keep an eye on these ETF filings for Ethereum. Hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a filing from BlackRock. And I really think that's going to be the key piece to this puzzle here, is that once BlackRock puts out their staking ETF filing, that's kind of the green light for everybody else. I don't see a situation where BlackRock doesn't file to amend their staking ETF just because it gives the other ETFs such a huge advantage. It's going to attract so much more capital to their ETFs over BlackRock's. So they aren't going to want to not be competitive within that space. So I expect here in the next few weeks, we should be getting a filing saying, hey, yeah, it's going to be approved, and, not approved. It's going to be that BlackRock makes their amendment. Gosh, I cannot speak today. And then it will be approved sometime between now and June 1st. So until next time, you'll have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll talk to y'all soon.